All right, guys, this is going to be our annuity section this week. Frank, thanks for joining us. For those of you who don't know Frank Eufemia, he's a integrity partner. Frank's been here since day one, since before I was here, and I've learned a ton. Early on from Frank on how to sell mortgage protection, annuities, and then now Frank's kind of been put in charge of the SRS annuity team, either officially or unofficially, but is kind of in charge of that and is going to kind of go through some stuff with us today on how to help us increase our annuity production. Frank, I was looking at numbers earlier, just so you know, Frank, and we're at 37 million for the year so far in total issued business, and we've only issued 8 million of annuity business this year so far. And for perspective, I talked to someone at the Ziegler event we went to, which has been great, and everyone on our team that's participated in some of the follow-up we've done, I think that's been really useful. But I talked to someone there. Their team issues $2 million a year of life business, and they issued 75 million of annuity business. And so I think we're leaving a ton of it on the table. So I wanted to, kind of get out of your way and let you, kind of go through everything for everyone. But I think a big part of it is, I think a lot of us overcomplicate it and we get good at a few things. And, me included, when I was in the field, like I wrote a lot of annuities. We talked about this before we started, but I just gave my appointments away to someone else to have them do it. So, whatever you want to cover, I'm here to bounce stuff off you, but, I appreciate you taking this on and helping us simplify it and, making it so our agents can actually write these and not be scared of them.
Yeah, Zach, thank you for having me. And yeah, that Ziegler event was awesome. I was pretty jacked that we were in the same group. We actually had for sure the best breakout leader for sure. But yeah, I mean, and it's funny with annuities. People either think they're too complicated or they just don't want to waste their time because they think it's going to take too long. And that's a common misconception. I could tell you, Zach, without annuity volume, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. And I was the same way as most of y'all. I was really good at selling mortgage protection. I was good at selling final expense, but mortgage protection was my bread and butter. I was in and out of an appointment 45 minutes flat, and it just didn't take much time. And so I'll never forget, I was in Aruba with Matt Smith actually at the last company we started at. And he's like, dude, you don't write any annuities. I was like, yeah, I know. I work in Baltimore City. Nobody has any money down there. He's like, you can keep telling yourself that, or you could just ask the question and stop being a dumbass. I was like, okay. So I literally started asking that following week, everybody I sat with. And the first annuity I wrote was my dad. The second annuity I wrote, I pull up to this house and they had a fence, and the fence had, a wooden fence. Some of them were off. It was all crooked. Some leaning in, leaning out. The grass was 4 foot tall. The steps walking up to the house were like just banged up. So I knock on the door. This lady answers with a mustache and 4 teeth in her whole mouth. I'm looking at the carpet. It's got holes in it. I'm like, Jesus, I didn't even want to be there. So I sit down with this guy and I'm like, all right, so filled out a form for mortgage protection. What do you have that acts like life insurance? He goes, I have a 401k. I said, okay, awesome. How much do you have in it? He said, 750. I said, $750. He said, no, 750,000. I about fell out of my chair. I said, wow, okay. So I went through the whole mortgage appointment, wrote him a policy. And at the end, I said, so let me explain to you. Let me ask you a question. If you could take advantage of the upside of the market, but eliminate the risk, would that be something you'd be interested in learning about? He goes, I'm actually retiring in 2 months, and I've been looking for something to do with my money. So I pulled up a theme, pulled up an illustration, showed it to him, wrote a $330 mortgage protection policy and a $750,000 annuity in an hour and a half. And I was like, holy hell. Like I probably wouldn't even have went into that appointment when I said it, I wrote something on there that made me say I should go here, but I wouldn't have went in. And after that, I said, you know what? I've been judging everything before I even ask. I judged a book by its cover, and that's a bad idea. So moving forward, I asked in every home, and I promise you, I ran, the whole 30 appointments a week where you're face-to-face and 60 presentations, telesales is somewhat new. We ran 24 appointments back in the day. And out of 24 appointments, I probably sit with 15 in Baltimore because they're not good with time. And out of the 15, I would find 1 to 2 a week that had money. And I would write on average 1 annuity a week. And it seemed like, Zach, every time cash flow was tight, every time had an agent quit and rolled that. It just seemed like an annuity would issue and bail me out. And so I'd encourage y'all to just start asking the question, because they are so not complicated. And trust me, in Baltimore, it's a blue collar town. They don't want some schmuck rolling in a 3-piece suit, talking them in circles on how the market works. They want somebody that's just like them. I would run appointments in the summer. I'd wear shorts and a polo, or shorts and a t-shirt and flip-flops because it's hot. And in the winter, I'd wear jeans and a sweatshirt. And that's how I were in every appointment: annuities, final expense, mortgage protection. And the clients liked it. And I learned how to explain it to people so they could understand it. And the fact of the matter is, it's literally as simple as, have you ever played blackjack, Zach?
Yeah, too much, but yes.
Yeah, too much.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were sitting at a blackjack table and the dealer said, place your bets. Whatever you bet up to, $5 million a hand. They deal you blackjack, you get paid. The following hand, you bet again. The dealer deals himself blackjack, and he says, you keep your money. And then he deals again. And he wins again. He says, keep your money again. Then the next hand, you win. I'm going, what's going on? Well, when you win, you get paid. But when I win, you don't pay. That doesn't make any sense. That's how an annuity works. When the market's winning, you get paid. When the market's losing, you keep your money. And when you can explain it to people in a sense that is not very complicated, you either take advantage of the upside of the market or have no risk when it's down. People will move. But that's not really the issue, Zach. And when we started talking about this a couple of weeks ago, I was like, yo, like, you guys asking a question. You were like, yeah, we're asking. And then 30 seconds later, like, no, we're not asking a question. Because if you were asking, that number would be, if you issued 38 million, you should be at least around 78 million. It should be double, triple for every 100,000 in life volume I wrote. I was issuing roughly 250 to 300,000 in annuities.
Yeah.
So if the numbers add up, you should be more than double, more likely quadruple what you guys do in life volume. And to give you an idea, you roll $100,000 annuity, you're getting paid $5,500, or what's the lowest comp? 5%, $5,000, and then you go up from there. And the beautiful thing about it is these,
I think 100 or 125,000 is the average annuity size, isn't it?
The average annuity size is right around 125 grand. And that's, and right now what's crazy is people are so scared with the market and how everything's going in this country that they don't want to lose money. In fact, they believe they're going to lose money. And if you just throw them that life raft, they'll take it. And I think at the end of the day, it boils down to, do you guys really want to do this? And do you really want to serve your client to the fullest ability? Because if you're not asking that question, you're really not helping. And if you're not asking that question, they're going to get called by another agent. My persistency, Zach, before I started writing annuities was around 70%. And when I started writing annuities and small children's whole life on kids and grandkids, and then asking the IUL silver question as well, my persistency went from 70 to 78 and then to 84. Now, I don't know if they're directly tied together, but I believe they are, because if I write a client a final expense policy and then I help them with their retirement, then they definitely trust me, right? So the more, we all know, and that's proven, the more apps you have written in a house, the more likely it is to stick on the books. But
so as far as, I was gonna say, to back up real quick, as far as actually like just finding the money, can you go through the process for everyone? Like, hey, here's the question you ask.
Yep.
And, before you do that, like you mentioned the children's whole life thing, I started doing that too. On every single person I saw, children's whole life, accidental death policy. Like I did that all the time.
Yeah.
And I didn't even love the carriers that we had to do it through, but I did it with everyone. And now Mutual of Omaha offers a 10% bonus. I was talking to Dylan the other day, and I was like, hey, a lot of people are frustrated because they don't get your guys' bonus because it's based on placement. And he's like, here's an easy hack for that. Have everyone write an accidental death policy and a children's whole life in every house that they are in, because that'll increase your placement numbers so you won't miss our bonus anymore. Right. I was like, that's good. I should talk about that at some point whenever someone reminds me on a call. So there it is. That's the
plug. There it is.
Yeah. Can you go through like, when you ask about the annuity in the sale, and then say I've never written one before, what do I do with that statement that I get?
Absolutely. That's perfect. So, I mean, do you guys use the financial or the client intake sheet?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So, I mean, it's right on there. But my flow was pretty simple, man. When I got into the appointment, obviously we're talking, breaking ice. And if you're doing telesales, it's going to be the same flow. You still have to build that rapport. And when I get into it, I mean, one of the first questions I ask Zach is, what do you have that acts like life insurance? Because that's important to me. A, they have life insurance, and I want to review it because the majority of the time, the agent that wrote that policy lied to them or didn't give them what they actually need. So I asked that question, and IRA, 401k, 403b, TSP, and I list those four things off and let them answer. And let's just say Zach says, "Yeah, I have a 401k." I'm like, "Perfect. How much roughly do you have in that 401k, Zach?" 200 grand. All right, awesome. I move on, right? And here's a lot of agents get really excited, especially when they go, "You know what? I'm going to start writing annuities." They ask a couple people and they find some money. And then Zach says, "Yeah, I have a 401k." And they're like, "All right, great." And then they go into their annuity pitch. I didn't just make a mental note, mark it down, and move on in your appointment. And then once you're done the entire appointment, unless, and again, we're not going to get into if they don't need coverage because 99% of the time they do. There are very few scenarios where they don't. But you get through the application, and when you're done, you go, "All right, Zach, so you mentioned you had a 401k. Let me ask you a question. If there was a plan I could show you that took advantage of the upside of the market, but eliminated all downside risk, would that be something you'd be interested in learning about?" That's the question. If I could show you a way to take advantage of the upside of the market, but eliminate all downside risk, would that be something you'd be interested in learning about? Now, about 90% of the people say yes. And I used to go, is that something you'd be interested in doing, buying, or having? And that's very pushy in a sense. If I go, are you interested in learning? It's very disarming. It's very, very candid and casual. And so I think more people are open to say, sure, why not? I'm just learning about it, right? And Zach says, yes. I said, okay, great. Let me get a little bit more information from you. So you can literally go to the SRS page, ask a specialist, and fill out the form right there. And they'll tell you exactly what you need to ask them: qualified, non-qualified, how much they have, what are they looking to accomplish with the money. You just fill out that sheet and hit send, and somebody from the SRS team will get back to you with an illustration, the product to write, the application, and a list of bullet points. So if they were suggesting the PE 15, they would say, okay, here are the bullet points of the PE 15. It gives you a 14% bonus. Uncapped strategies, no fees, whatever the bullet points are, and that's how you would pitch it. So you go to SRS, the SRS.com button or FFL SRS, and then you go ask a specialist. Now there are two options on that, or actually there's three options now, Zach. You can do, the first option is you don't want really any help other than you want the illustration, the app, and the bullet points, which is fine. The second option is you have an idea of how to do annuities, but you're not 100% confident. And you want somebody on standby while you're in that appointment and while you're getting it processed. And you could do a 90-10 split with an SRS specialist, an agent that's really good at selling annuities. You keep 90, they get 10. Or if you go, you know what? I don't know anything. I just want to watch you do it. You'll have an SRS agent do the entire app for you. They'll walk you through processing, suitability, the fund transfer, all of that stuff from start to finish, and you can watch and learn, and it's a 50-50 split. And to me, I mean, you guys have done this with IUL stuff, right?
Yeah, I would say 50-50 is cheap. Like I would, if I could go back, I would just watch it for free to see a couple live ones, but 50-50 is awesome. So
100%. And there are a lot, like most major annuity players do something along this lines, but it's more like a 70-30 split where the writing agent's keeping 70. And I just, that's not really necessary because I think it's priceless, first of all, for an agent to sit and watch. Say I was pitching you an annuities, X, to sit and watch me pitch it, the tone, what I say, how I handle your objections, how we maneuver through the application, how I ask you for the account information. All that stuff is super helpful. And it shouldn't take, honestly, one or two times. If you're going to do it that way, one or two times, you'd be good to go. I mean, that's really all it takes. And then even after that, if you say, you know what, I'm not 100% comfortable, just give me the 10% option. I know I'll have Frank on standby while I'm in the appointment and moving forward with it. I mean, why wouldn't you? Because literally you issue $1 million in annuities in a year, it's an extra 60, 70, 80 grand in your pocket.
yeah,
I mean, and that's cash flow, 80 grand cash. And here's the cool thing about it. It's already on leads that you've purchased. it's extra free money. So we just have to really get fanatical about asking that question. And if you do it, I promise you'll find it. Here's the last option I think we're going to toss out. And I'm saying this on this call because I'm going to push it till they say, okay, we're going to do like a referral deal where, you know, who's your top life producer, Zach, the one that writes the most final expense mortgage protection?
So I know number one overall for life right now is Juan Franco, but that's a lot of IULs. I
Yep.
think number one might be Mahmood. I think you
Okay.
talked about it. I think he's number one if you took final expense.
Okay. So let's say Mahmood's like, I'm good. I like my final expense lane. I can do it in 30 minutes. Tell us says I don't want to deal with it. We go, okay, Mahmood, here's the deal. Can you at least ask the question? And if they have money at the end of your appointment, can you go, hey, we're going to have one of our retirement specialists reach out to you and go over what some options are to protect that 401k you have. If you do that, Mahmood, and send us the information, if an SRS agent writes it, they'll just give you 10% of the deal. Like it's a
Yeah.
referral fee. You know what I mean? So that's coming. So stay tuned for that. But guys, I mean, writing annuities again, it's not that complicated. You can literally do it via telesale. You could do a Zoom. You can do face to face. But we're doing them day in and day out over the phone, and people are just as comfortable doing it over the phone as they are in the home. It just might take a couple more phone calls. With the IUL, Zach, I can tell you because you know it's the world now, right? Everybody wants to get into selling IULs, and I like them. I just it's dangerous when people want to step away from the simplified issue to go sell IULs because you're not going to get paid for 45 to 60 days. But we started getting some leads, and I got 4 of them on my calendar. 3 of the 4 I spoke to have annuity money. 2 of the 4 that, or 2 of the 3 that had annuity money are moving forward with an annuity. So I'm going like, I spoke to 4, 3 had it, 2 I'm going to write an annuity on. Like y'all that are writing these, Juan Franco and that group, like guys, you guys should be slaying the annuity side. And if you're not, it's really just because you're not digging. But instead of making, you know, 10, 15, 20 grand on an over or commission, why not double or triple that by adding an annuity to the mix? And you're taking care of your client. Like they will love you. In 2018, Jack, I have statements from clients that earn 21.5% in a year. Like that blew my mind because we've seen the illustrations like, oh, they could do this and there's no caps, but until you actually see it in black and white, I'm going like, yeah, that's probably never going to happen. No, it happens. So right now the market's crap, but you know, in a couple of years, we get some stuff fixed in this country and the market goes back up. Man, they're taking advantage of all that upside and they're not losing the trajectory of an index universal in an index annuity as opposed to an IRA with market risk. Dude, it's not even close when you have uncapped strategies. So that's pretty much all I got.
I was in S&P 500 outperforms like 95% of financial advisors, right?
Ain't it right?
Like no matter what people say, like they're, you know, if you Google that, I don't know exactly. I think it's high though. I think it might be
Yeah.
95%. It outperforms just because it's consistently going up, right? And the
Yep.
annuity doesn't lose, it goes up and indexes in, you know, whichever index account you decide to put it in. The other thing I wanted to mention that you brought up, Frank, you're like, this kept me in business a few times. Me too, right? And I did the split option just because I was, you know, I was running so many appointments, but
Yeah.
people split me in and it kept me in business. But for people that are on here that are new, like the first year in this business, we talked about it a lot, but the first year in this business, it's normal to go like, you know, I'm up and down all over the place. Adding something like this where you just ask the question all the time, you know, will help you stay in business. And then once you get good enough, you'll make way more money than the effort you're putting in. But in any business starting out, you know, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you opened, you know, a doctor's office, you know, a pizza place or an insurance agency. Like business is hard in the beginning, you know, and so the little things you can do like this that can add a 6-figure income stream to your income, that might save you in business and give you enough time to get really good to where you can be in the top 1% of our business, which is, you know, the multiple 7, 8, and 9-figure guys. So I just, you know, I think I forget to talk about it sometimes, Frank, and I'm glad you brought it up because a lot of people love to talk about how good it is now. It's like, dude, it was really rough in the beginning for me, for you, for a lot of us. But things like this helped us figure it out and stay on, where other people have just stayed in their lane and didn't ever try to learn or get better, and they were out of business. And they may have been better salespeople than you or I, but we're like, hey, let's learn this one extra thing that might help us stay in business. You know?
Yep. And it's a habit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all it is. Get in the habit of asking that question on every single appointment. I promise you, they will present themselves.
No doubt, dude. Well, hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for jumping on. We'll definitely have you back on, and looking forward to growing this thing with you, man.
Thanks for having me on, Zach. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah.